Hi there, and welcome to Film Sense with Brian. As always, great to have you here. Please like, subscribe, and comment below. With that being said, let's get into it. So, Scream 7. Where do I even begin with this one? Well, for starters, having seen the film, I can say that while there are some movie critics claiming this film is the worst ever made, I disagree. Sure, it certainly deserves much of its criticisms, whether that's the bland acting, confusing narratives, and character decisions under great stress, or the uninteresting reveal of Ghostface. It certainly doesn't do enough to merit the title of worst film ever made, let alone in this franchise. Don't get me wrong, I went into this film without much anticipation or excitement, and I left the film thinking that it was a lot better than expected. For those who have seen the trailer, the main premise of this film focuses on Sidney Prescott as a new Ghostface emerges in town, now seemingly set on coming after her daughter. On face value, the premise itself isn't necessarily bad or uninteresting, as it does give the fans of the franchise a reason to continue the story of Sidney, even if the film retreads on old grounds. This familiarity in tone, direction, and writing is the product of its lead director, that is Kevin Williamson, one of the main contributing voices early on in the Scream franchise, having served as a writer across its first two couple of films. While I don't believe this new entry does anything to propel it to new grounds, the film does deliver in its kills. For a slasher film where the killer's primary weapon of choice is a knife, the kills manage to be interesting and continue to deliver even though we are 7 films deep into this franchise. Other than the kills, I thought both Sidney Evans and Tatum Evans as characters were well acted, but unfortunately those around them didn't do much for me in this film. While previous installments in the franchise had interesting reveals as to who the Ghostface killer ended up being and motivations leading them to their bloody murder spree, the big reveal of this film for me fell a bit flat on its face. There just wasn't enough there for me in the end to amount to a satisfying conclusion. And when I think back to some of the earlier kills, which yes, were satisfying and probably the best part of this film, they don't exactly line up to what is presented. And without giving anything away or treading into spoiler territory, I'll just say this, that the reveal just doesn't make much sense compared to how the killer goes around killing people. However, despite all of this and my lower expectations going into this film, I can understand why fans of the franchise both hate and enjoy this movie. It's much of what you'd expect in a Scream film without any of the nuances to make it stand out. While they can continue to make these films given the central idea of Ghostface himself, I do hope they begin to change the formula a bit as to engage a new generation of horror fans, one that hope to see a bit more in a franchise that seems to be losing its footing. With that being said, if you had a chance to go watch Ghostface in Scream 7, please let me know what you liked about or disliked about this film in the comments below. Do you agree with the critics that it's the worst film ever made, or do you agree with me in understanding that while there is much to dislike in this film, it certainly doesn't deserve the label as the worst movie ever made, let alone in this franchise? Until next time, this has been Film Sense with Brian. All right, bye guys.